Okay, that's pretty majestic. Let's see if we're recording. Uh, I think we are. The Poet's Corner bench, which I frequented, beside the Babbling Brook, shortly after I made a video saying I might disclose everything as the Banshee by the Babbling Brook, the bench got moved. And I suspect I'm now in full view of CCTV and who knows what else, surveillance, I don't care. Anyway, one of my videos seems to have made a difference because the parochial gardens have been half sorted out. There was the scandal of Paddy Rennicks had the contract and he was getting paid $300 a month, and now he's running as a Fianna Fáil councillor and he's in his 70s, and so I met a different gentleman, a John from across the Keel, who was doing a great job weeding the flower beds, and somebody else was mowing the grass, but it seems operation aborted. It seems to have stopped midway, and it may be because $300 a month is actually not a lot to maintain these magnificent gardens. And that's the point I was trying to make, you know, without causing trouble. Like, there's 6 million plus in a trust fund left to the town by a disenfranchised runaway who made his fortune in London, but the parish priest is automatically on the board of trustees, as are the headmasters of the local schools and chair people of the parents association, all associations I was involved with. So this is how I found out all this stuff. So literally it's just a lesson to learn that when you do something grandiose, like make a playground costing 80,000 or a parochial gardens, you know, God knows what it cost, you have to set in the infrastructure to upkeep it. And the same as the GAA tried to say, oh, no dogs allowed off lead anymore in the acreage of gardens granted by this Gilson millionaire guy, because there's dog poo. Well, there is, and I'm sorry about that, and some dogs are loose. My dog is trained to do her business in the garden. She's been very lazy just sitting there, but for the few dogs that do foul, just put in some infrastructure. Just use some of that 6 million whatever in the trust fund to set up, you know, maintenance. I remember my sisters, Sharon and Marie, like, my mum was very strong on anti-litter, and I raised my children saying, don't throw any litter down, the squirrels will get tummy ache. And I just persuaded them to not litter and to actually collect litter. But my younger sisters, Anne-Marie and Sharon, they used to toss things out the window and say, oh, we're just doing job creation, you know. And even though I was scandalised by that at the time, but there's some truth in that, you know. It's like, I keep making the analogy that if on our estate, Lockcrew View, there was a litter problem, you know, a sort of dictator would say, no buying takeaways ever anymore. But a normal person would say, let's teach the younger generations to litter pick, you know, and let's reward them for that, and let's, like, make it, you know, cool to just go and keep your environment clean. There's a Japanese proverb, he who cleans his own street corner is a national hero, you know. So anyway, the gardens are half done, and I just pray that John from across the Keel or whoever else now has the contract will be back and hasn't been shortchanged by the new parish priest or the trustees of the multi-million euro fund left to the town, you know. And the same thing with the town trying to say you can't walk dogs off the lead in the park, even though the park was not left to the GAA, despite them buying the show hall for a nominal £1, you know, and despite them taking it over. And my kids grew up with sports, you know, Gaelic football, hurling, cross country, soccer, the whole lot. But hello, the land was left for the enjoyment of the town. And a lot of the enjoyment of the town is people walking their dogs, you know. And you're not going to confine us to our houses and dogs only walked on leads. It's not going to happen. There's probably more to say, but I do have a lot to say actually about harassment and targeting for over 2 decades in this town, and what could be the possible source of that. And I'll tell you, in the last few weeks I've had my €863 Samsung 23 phone stolen off this very bench in front of me, then smashed to pieces 2 days later. Then a brother of the little boy threatened to kidnap Ruby and do all sorts of mischief. And then an uncle of the mother attempting to firebomb my house. And this is just not something that goes on in this town. There's a lot of stuff goes on that shouldn't. But this is not Ballymun or Cherry Orchard or Finglas. It's like it's not on. It's not going to happen. So I will be doing an update on that. You know, and if I die, I die. It's like Esther, isn't it? It's like, if I die, I die. We all die sometime. And I love the thing in the Bible about Stephen. I think he was apostle. And he got stoned to death in a horrible way. But he dissociated from the pain. And his light shone. His face shone with light. And he literally couldn't feel the pain. Couldn't feel the pain. Because he was in the presence of God before he even got killed. So I talk brave, but I tell you, there's winds. I hope they're winds of change, but there are winds blowing that, to me, feel a bit sinister, but now they've gone still. And remember, Jesus said, be still. Be still. He calmed the wind and the waves. He calmed the storms. All right, there's the wind. Yeah. Okay. God wins. Thanks, guys. Love you. Check out my blog.